Hey everyone, thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. I figured we should probably do a live stream, chat a little bit. Let me should get this up. I don't know if Ada's gonna hit a new all-time here or not, but we're in the ballpark, so why don't we go ahead and look. We always got to be ready to draw a house in the event that a house needs to be drawn. Most of the coins we follow are not at all-time highs at the moment. Bitcoin still has a ways to go. Ethereum has a ways to go. Link has a ways to go. DOT has a ways to go. But my friends, ADA is getting close, right? It's knocking on the door of new all-time highs. Told you, the racehorse, right? The racehorse of the cycle. Let me post this a couple different places. We'll jump in here in a minute. Now, let me post this. All right. All right. So ADA is around 240. All right. So what do we need to see happen? Well, the all-time high for ADA is actually around 250. Now, it will vary depending on what exchange you use. I don't know what exchange you're using, but it's around 250. I would like to see it go maybe to 252 or so before we absolutely declare new all-time highs. You can see on this one, it actually went up to around 252 or so. So maybe 252, 253. I know some exchanges had it less, like 250. Maybe even some had it even below that. But regardless, ADA is, again, holding up relatively well. Okay, now, we're currently back at these levels. Okay, we're currently back at these levels. So we will want to keep a close eye on things. But I will say that as long as Bitcoin is chilling above the 20-week, then there's a high probability, I would say, that ADA will trend up. If Bitcoin is chilling above the 20-week and not really doing anything too crazy, then I would anticipate ADA doing relatively well. I've told you guys that we followed ADA forever. And I went back to one of my old videos because I was curious when I was talking about it back then, and hardly anyone even cared back then. But if you go back and look at my very first Cardano video, it was this one. It was this one, in fact, and you can see it only got about 10,000 views. This was when it was trading for a few cents, and let's just take a listen. And you can see what I drew is not what happened at all, right? I mean, we've gone up a lot quicker because we're currently trading around this level right here. So we're right here. So it went up quicker than I thought it would. But this is where we currently are. But it's interesting to go back in time and listen to some of these videos. So listen to what I said back then.
When these coins go up to say 10 cents, or if Cardano were to go back up to 10 cents, there's always people saying, man, I wish I could have gotten more when it was say 3 cents or 4 cents. But it's like, when it was that price, you didn't jump on it, and it's that price now, and are you jumping on the price? That's for you to decide if you want to make this investment. Now, Cardano, it does have it has.
You guys get the idea, right? It was trading for 3 to 4 cents. I had no idea what was going to happen, but it's been a pretty crazy ride since then. Now this one, I don't know why. I mean, I guess I just took it down one regression line from this one. So the general idea was that, okay, it's going to peak somewhere way out here, and it'll go one regression line down from the first cycle. So that would put it up to this level, which I guess is around, I don't know, $15 or so. It's not 20 because 20 is all the way up here. That's what I drew. Clearly, we're not following that line because we did break up to 10 cents relatively quickly, but then we went up to 30 cents, then we broke above a lot sooner. So now I think the question is, how high can we ultimately go? Man, I really miss the 3 to 4 cent ADA days. Those were the days. Yeah, I thought I looked a lot different. Crypto ages you. Crypto definitely um, ages you for sure. But we'll see. I mean, we'll see how well this ends up being. Again, once we're at the $10 mark, this is my thinking with ADA. All right, I'll tell you now because when the time comes, no one's gonna want to listen to me anyways. So I'll tell you now. When the time comes, and I think the time will come at some point within the next 1 to 2 years, is my best guess. Within 1 to 2 years, I believe, ADA will be trading around $10. I don't know if it's going to be $8. I don't know if it's going to be $13. I don't know where it's going to be. Probably going to be around somewhere around those levels. And when that time happens, whether it happens, early 2022, whether it happens middle of 2022, whether it's late 2022, I don't know. Of course, we've done all this speculation and whatnot. But I'll tell you, I'll say, hey guys, this has been a journey. We started at 2 cents, at 3 cents back in 2019. We saw it go to 2 cents. We saw it go less than 2 cents in March of 2020. And, the goal was always around $10. Now, the problem with that is once you get to those levels, it's our natural tendency to want to continue to say, well, it can go up another 10x or another 10x, right? Or another 5x. So again, I will tell you now, because you will not listen to me when the time comes, more than likely, around the $10 mark is going to be a pretty big milestone for ADA. And I don't know how far it's going to overshoot it. I don't know if it'll undershoot it. But what I'm looking for with ADA is whenever it leaves this zone, right? Whenever we end up putting in, say, like a major peak and hopefully the two digit range, maybe $1 always can become a dozen always. I don't know. I would be looking for a potential, another pretty big pullback at that point, probably bigger than 60%, if I'm being completely honest. So, like for instance, right now we've already seen some 60% pullbacks and whatnot. We could see another 60% pullback for all we know. Like if Bitcoin doesn't hold the line here, we could see ADA come all the way back down as well and continue chopping along in this little sandbox it's been in for the last 8 months. So don't discount that. But when the time comes, and it will come, in my opinion, I think it's interesting because maybe the prices we end up coming back down to will be around the current prices, or maybe even slightly higher than the current prices. I don't know. It'll be a journey for sure. And then I think after that, then the question is when once we get to the next, once we get to whatever the next bottom will be, whenever that time comes. Well, then what can it do from there? My projection for ADA has always been around $10 for this market cycle. Next market cycle is a different story, right? We'll have to talk about next market cycle when next market cycle comes, but that's a different story. For now, I think a lot of the hype is two things. Okay, two things. Number one is smart contracts launching in a few weeks. That's number one. I think there's a lot of hype building into that. Number two, Bitcoin's above the 20-week and going sideways. So the path of least resistance for ADA is to go up. Okay, Bitcoin's above the 20-week going sideways. Path of least resistance for ADA is up. So the only thing now that you should be rooting for, if you want to see ADA break through to say the $3 mark, the $4 mark, what do you want to see happen? What you want to see happen is you want to see Bitcoin just kind of hang out, right? Like just have Bitcoin chill above the 20-week. If we get it, then the path of least resistance for ADA is up. So again, I don't care if you don't own Bitcoin. You should own Bitcoin. Well, it's not financial advice, but theoretically speaking, one should own Bitcoin. If you don't own Bitcoin, you should still watch Bitcoin to see what it's doing. And the only thing, I would say the only major thing right now that has me concerned, okay, We got to leave it all on the table. I'm not hiding anything, right? The only thing that has me concerned for Bitcoin right now, the only thing is the US dollar, okay? So to understand what ADA is doing, you need to go look at what Bitcoin's doing. To get a better understanding of what Bitcoin's doing, you need to go look at the US dollar. And the only reason to be a little bit cautious, I would say, would be because the dollar is trying to break out. Okay, so that I think is the main reason to be a little bit cautious. And I mean, hopefully, again, if you want to see crypto move up, what you would like to see happen is you would like to see the dollar get rejected back down. Okay, so if the dollar gets rejected back down, then you're gonna see people continue to speculate on crypto, on stocks and whatnot. It'll go up even more in the short term. So that's my primary hesitation, I think, is just what's gonna happen here with the dollar. If we see the dollar get rejected here and come back down, it's probably gonna be very good for Bitcoin. And what's very good for Bitcoin is very good for altcoins. Okay, because what'll happen is, in the event that something like that were to happen, we'll see the Bitcoin price slowly trend up with time, and then whenever it goes sideways for a little bit, the mice can come out and play. And we like letting the mice come out and play every once in a while, right? The dog, obviously Bitcoin's the dog, Ethereum's the cat. When the dog's away, the cat will play. When the cat's away, the mice will play. And the mice are playing right now. Obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't really doing anything. I mean, they're still significantly below the prior all-time highs. So they're not doing anything right now. Now, there will come a time when the dog will play again. And when the dog's out, the cat and the mice are not playing at that time. And that's the time when you want to really make sure you're loaded up on Bitcoin, because you'll see the altcoins get left behind in the event that the dog comes out. But the thing with the dollar is to just look at it. Keep an eye on it. I know a lot of you guys are like, I don't want to talk about the dollar. Don't talk about DXY. Just add it to your watch list and look to see if it's breaking out of 93.5, 93.6. Because the prior local top was at 93.4. Okay, the prior local top was at 93.4. We're already above it. And so that's what I'm primarily watching right now. Like, if you're curious what Ben's watching, I'm watching this like a hawk. Like, I'm just like, is this going to break out? Because if it does, it's going to be hard for Bitcoin to put a new all-time high in the next month or two. If we get rejected, then again, Bitcoin probably holds the 20-week, and again, metaphorical laser eyes, right? So add the US dollar currency index to your watch list on TradingView and keep an eye on it, okay? Because again, if you want to know what's going to happen with coins like ADA, you need to know what's happening with Bitcoin. Is it holding the 20-week or not? To get some insight into Bitcoin holding the 20-week, I would say go look at the dollar. So right now, ADA is at 238. Why don't we switch this over to the daily time frame, okay? And let's see where we really are right now. Because it looks like, in terms of dailies, if we close above this level, this will be the highest close that ADA's ever had, in fact, okay? So let me say that one more time. If ADA closes at a very modest $2, let's say above what, 230, if it closes above a very modest $2.30, it will in fact be the highest close that ADA has ever had. Now, it has had wicks above it, but again, no one is getting out of bed for a wick. No one's getting out of bed for a wick. We don't really care about wicks because they're here 1 second, and before you have time to even think about what you're going to do, they're gone. So again, you don't care about wicks. No one's getting out of bed for a wick. So I would say let's see if we can close above 230, because if we close above 230, we're legitimately looking at a new highest daily close for ADA, which is pretty significant, right? It's pretty significant to see that. And then the other point being is if we don't get the close and we end up coming back down for a little bit, no issues, guys. I mean, it just gives you more time, right? It gives you more time. And, it's one of those things where you've had all the time in the world to establish your position if you don't have one. There was the below 10 cents accumulation range, the 30 cents accumulation range, the $1.20 accumulation range, depending on if you still didn't have a stack. And again, here we are sitting at 236, 237. So let's see what happens. This, in my opinion, is we're actually at the top of the accumulation range. I would sort of consider this to be getting really close to the top of the accumulation range here. So like if you've been DCAing and whatnot, I don't know how much further I would personally chase something like this. Let the new money, if there's new money, let them chase it. But you can see we're sort of getting close to it, right? I mean, to be completely honest, this is the accumulation, I would say the launch pad, hopefully. 252 all the way down to, 253 all the way, and if we extend this out all the way over, let's actually put this down at around $1, because this is where we've mostly been. So this, and I put out a video on this earlier today. So this is more or less what I would hope to be ADA's launch pad to higher prices. Okay, and if you don't have an ADA position, I imagine there's a lot of people who've been accumulating in here to establish an ADA position. So once it goes above this, if you chase it, I mean, there's obviously a significant amount of risk there. But we'll see. We'll see if we can break out here, because I mean, again, 250 is the breakout, around 250, maybe like 252 or so. And I'm watching the dollar like a hawk. Keep an eye on Bitcoin. See if Bitcoin can actually close above the 20-week for the next few weeks. If it's doing it, guys, it'll look good. It'll certainly look good for Bitcoin. Let's go look at the 200-day, okay? Because the 200-day is certainly one to keep an eye on. So we're back above it. So essentially Bitcoin is not showing much of any respect for the 200-day. You can see that we actually came back down to the 20-day moving average, but we're not really respecting the 200-day at all, right? Like it just goes above it and below it. It's not respecting it at all. We're currently up a very modest 4% on the day. I've seen a lot of people call for 51K Bitcoin, 52K Bitcoin. If Bitcoin went to those levels, it sure seems like it would probably help ADA push to new all-time highs if it's not already above them by that time. So let's keep an eye on Bitcoin. Let's see if we can actually get out of this sort of obviously the accumulation range, or maybe not the accumulation range. The range that Bitcoin is in right now is just 44 to 48. Okay, 44 to 48K is where we are right now. We've been going between 44 and 48K for a little bit. So if we get to 48K and bust through 48K, then probably 50K is not too far away. But 48K is where we came up to on a number of days. So we came up to it on August 13th, more or less, August 14th, and August 16th. We were flirting with that 48K range. And then the 44K, we were at it on August 9th, August 12th, August 13th, August 17th, August 18th, and even today, August 19th, we were at the 44K range. We just moved up a couple $1,000s. So this is sort of like where Bitcoin is range bound at the moment. And as long as it stays in this area without a major break to the upside or the downside, then it's more likely than not that altcoins will continue to rally. I know another one that you guys like that I will talk about, since I know you guys are super interested. Solana is another one that is actually already put in new all-time highs. So it made a move up to, in April, it made a move up to $47, and now it's actually trading at around $72. So that one's another one that's been doing relatively well. And I imagine that a lot of these will continue to do well as long as Bitcoin's chilling above the 20-week and not doing anything substantial. There's some other ones that haven't really made substantial moves yet. DOT seems like it's still kind of chilling down here, so maybe we'll see that move back up into this range that we've seen before. There's also Link, which, still has a lot to prove. We would like to see it get back up to the $40 to $50 range. A lot of this will just be contingent on how long Bitcoin can hold these levels. But yeah, let's just see. Let's see what happens with ADA, because I told you guys in the video earlier, like, I don't know if we're breaking out here or not. I really don't. I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did. I don't know if we are or not. And if we're not, then go outside, right? Do something else for a little bit. It'll make it there eventually. We'll get there eventually. So, what questions do you guys have? Am I concerned about the dollar? Yeah, that's as I said before. The only thing I'm concerned about right now with respect to Bitcoin is the dollar. If the dollar were in a downtrend, I feel like it would look so much more clear for Bitcoin. There's a lot of things that Bitcoin is going for right now. What are those things? Well, we had 3 months of accumulation, right? We had our summer lull. We said, all right, 3 to 6 months. It's been 3 months. We had that. We've had a move all the way down to 29K, which, by the way, if you don't remember, in fact, if we go look at Bitcoin, I want you guys to see this in case you have missed it in the past. Remember, we showed this a few months ago, or a few weeks ago. Bitcoin has already tested the 2017 all-time high, okay? And I kept saying this back at 29K and whatnot. I was like, look, guys, a lot of people are calling for Bitcoin to have to go to 20K. But if you account for the money supply, so if you take the price of Bitcoin divided by M2, we've already tested it, right? We've already tested it 3 times. In fact, 3 times. May 17th, we tested it. June 28th, we tested it. July 19th, we tested it. So you can't, as far as I'm concerned, we can't say that we didn't necessarily test it already, because if you account for the money supply, which seems reasonable that someone would account for the money supply, we've already tested the 2017 all-time high, right? We've already tested it, we bounced off of it, and we're moving higher. So I would say Bitcoin has that going for it, right? It already tested that all-time high. If you account for the money supply, it had a pretty nice bounce. Another reason what Bitcoin is going for it, it's above the 20-week. What else? What else? We're staying above the 20-week. Now the only question is will we hold it when we come back down to test it as support? The main reason, the main, I guess there's 2 reasons that have me, scratching my head are, what's the dollar doing? Okay, what's the dollar gonna do here? Do we get rejected and come back down? If we do, it's gonna be a Bitcoin party, okay? More than likely, it'll be a Bitcoin party if the dollar gets rejected and comes back down. And when you get a Bitcoin party, you normally get a few altcoin parties with it. So that's the main thing. If I could point to one thing that has me just a little bit weary, it's that. Other than that, if we can get through that, then hopefully it's clear skies ahead. I mean, then we got to break through 50K, 55, 60K, and then I imagine we'll slowly work our way up to 100K, at some point. But we got to get through this hurdle first, and this is probably the last major hurdle. I mean, it's interesting because it's like you have Bitcoin above the 20-week at the same time that the dollar's going up. So if the dollar keeps going up, it makes it less likely for Bitcoin to hold the 20-week. But if the dollar goes down, then Bitcoin's probably going to hold the 20-week. So again, as I told you guys before, August will be an incredibly important month. It will be incredibly important. If we end August, if we're putting in a monthly close above 50K and the dollar's trending back down, then it's going to look so great for Bitcoin, like so great for Bitcoin. And then I would still hope that we would get that weekly test of the 20-week for a few weeks, so that we can really confirm that, okay, guys, we're testing the 20-week, we're holding it as support, things look great, and now we need to move up to the next level. Okay, I would like to see that, and I do think we will see something like that over the next couple of months. Sometimes these tests of the 20-week can take a long time. Sometimes when you're testing them, it doesn't even feel like you're testing them. Like if we were to go to the weekly chart. By the way, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. I don't know what we're doing at 624 likes when we got almost 4,000 viewers, but make sure you guys give the video a thumbs up. We should at least be able to get to 1,000 likes. That's 25% of you guys watching. So the bull market support band. Okay. A lot of times, you can sort of be testing it, but it doesn't really feel like you are. It's kind of like over here, like it never really felt like we tested the bull market support band back in July of 2020. It never really felt like we tested it because we were still a few percentage points away. It sure as hell felt like we tested it over here because we were riding that line. I mean, we were having wicks below it. It felt like we were testing it. But then when you zoom out and you look back, it sort of seems like, all right, well, this was somewhat a test of the 20-week, even if it wasn't exactly on the line. This was definitely a test, right? That was definitely a test. So then now we look at it and say, well, this is not really the strictest of tests for Bitcoin. What I would like to see is a several week test. That could be, it could be 4 weeks, it could be 6 weeks, it could be 8 weeks. I don't really know. Maybe we go up first and then we come back down to it to test it as support. But I would like to see something like that. Ideally speaking, this would be like my ideal scenario for Bitcoin would be to ultimately test out that 20-week. And the reason I say that is because I feel like it would give us so much confidence to go to 6 figures. There's so much confidence in that scenario to go to 6 figures. So keep an eye on the dollar. Let's see if the dollar, what it does here, if you go down to say like the 15-minute time frame, it's definitely battling. You can see that dollar is battling to break out. And it's basically chilling right around that 93.5, 93.6 area. So that is something worth watching. Again, if you go look at stocks and whatnot too, like here's the SPY. It's been bleeding over the last few days during this rally by the dollar as well. So if the dollar rallies, it'll also probably affect the stock market as well. And generally it leads to the stock market pulling back a bit. So keep an eye on the dollar. As long as the dollar is not having a major breakout and Bitcoin's chilling above the 20-week, then the altcoins will probably continue to move. So now it's just a waiting game to see if we get enough time with Bitcoin above the 20-week without it going crazy, if ADA can actually push to a new all-time high itself. So we're getting relatively close. Again, we need to get to about 252. So what questions do you guys have? What does DXY mean? It's the US dollar currency index. It's basically just the weighting of the US dollar compared to a lot of other currencies of the United States trading partners. Yeah, we can look at ADA Bitcoin. This is one that's actually about to put in new. It actually just put in a new local top. It's not an all-time high, because our all-time high is way back over here in 2018. But ADA Bitcoin did at least just put in a new local high, a new local top, and you can see it's sort of been kind of moving off this line right here. So right here and that wick. And again, so yeah, ADA Bitcoin, new local top, still about 80, maybe 75, 80% to go to get to a new global all-time high for the ADA Bitcoin valuation, which would put ADA at around $4. What do I think about the stock to flow prediction? I think that, again, the stock to flow model is not predicting peak prices, it's predicting average prices. So, an average price of 288K per Bitcoin for the next 4 years seems a little bit too high to me. Because that means the highest price could go up to like 500K. That seems a little bit too high to me. So I would say if I had to pick between the stock to flow or the stock to flow cross asset, I'd be more inclined to believe the stock to flow over stock to flow cross asset, because stock to flow predicts more of like 100K Bitcoin on average for the next several years, whereas the stock to flow cross asset predicts more of a $288,000 Bitcoin on average. Around a 300K Bitcoin on average seems a bit high to me. Whatever. Maybe I'm just too conservative, but it seems a bit high to me. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think an average price of 288 for the next 4 years? And by the way, I don't mean the next 4 years, maybe the next 3.5 years and the last half year. Do you think 288 on average sounds a bit high, or am I just being too conservative on that? Seems like most people say it sounds a bit high. Some people say a little bit low. Again, the 288 is not like it's not a peak prediction. It's just the average price. Like 288 is the average price, not like a peak prediction. Yeah, sorry, we're not talking about micro caps here. Is ADA my favorite stablecoin? I gotta say, I like it. For a coin to be this stable, like ADA is. I joke a lot on Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, maybe you should. Maybe you shouldn't actually, because a very different side of me comes out on Twitter. I always joke about ADA being a stable coin just because it just hasn't really done much of anything for so long. But it's my favorite stable coin because how many stable coins are now $2 stable coins? Hopefully one day it'll move up to a new range and then go sideways at that range for a while. But still, for now, we're still at the 1 to 250 range. Can you tell us more about how you learned technical analysis? I don't know. I didn't learn technical analysis. A lot of the more traditional technical analysis stuff that you guys probably see on other channels, I don't know what the hell they're doing, to be completely honest. I just look at long-term trends in the market and use trends like that. Other than that, I feel like it. The other stuff, I don't know. It seems a little bit too fluffy. To me anyways. Yeah, stable. ADA stable within a 170% range. Yeah, that's relatively stable for crypto if you think about it. What's 170%, right? Someone says, this reminds me of 2017 when everyone shilled Neo and Nano. I feel the same with ADA, way too mainstream. I feel like it's a little different. I mean, this is not like me starting to shill ADA after it's already at $2. We literally were talking about it at 2 and 3 cents. The funny thing is, no matter what happens, if you talk about a coin and then it goes up 100x, then everyone always says, oh, it's just over shilled. But it's like, well, we also spoke about it before it went up 100x as well. And you weren't saying it back then, you're just now saying it after it's up 100x. At some point there will be a correction. Whether it happens now or whether it happens after it goes up even higher is for the market to decide. Even if it goes to $10, there'll be people then that say, it's going to go down, and eventually they'll be right? Eventually the ADA bears will be right. But the problem is that it's better to be in my opinion, with these cryptocurrencies, it's better to be a bull than to be a bear, because both will be right at various phases, but the bulls will be right more often than the bears. And that's the same thing like with the stock market. Like it's funny because so many quote unquote stock market experts will constantly call for the stock market to drop, and then when it does, they'll claim credit for it, but they would have called it for a drop for the last 3 or 4 years. And it's like, well, you said it was going to drop, a long time ago, and then it never did. I mean, obviously, I'm just speaking hypothetically. We know it dropped last March. But I'm just thinking, like, over the last year, tons of people have been calling for a recession. They were calling for, does people forget about that? They were calling for a stock market to crash, for us to go into, like, a multi-year recession, maybe even another Great Depression. And then look how quickly everything changed, right? I have several videos on the channel for the stock market saying, hey, there's no signs of a recession. There's no signs of a depression. This is just, we've had these corrections before. We'll probably come out of it. So it's better in the stock market over the long haul to be a bull rather than to be a bear. The bulls will mostly be right. Occasionally the bears will the bears will be right. And whenever they are right, they'll make sure to let you know. And then when the market starts going back up again, they'll continue to say it's going to crash, and they'll just keep doing it for the next 5 or 10 years until it does it again, and then they'll claim victory. I sort of see the same thing happening with a lot of these other projects. Is it's easy to say something's going to crash, and eventually they'll be right. Eventually they'll be right. It's sort of like looking at Ethereum and looking at the last cycle. And when it first made this move over here from 50 cents up to $13, $12 or $13, people were calling for it to come crashing back down, and it seemed like it was going to at one point, and then it just went up to a new level. Then it went from $14 up to $300, and then from here everyone was saying it was going to crash and come back down, and it didn't, and then it went up to $1,400, and then everyone kept saying it's going to crash, and then they were right, and then they were right. The problem is when you're living through it, it's very hard to distinguish, like if that's the time it's going to go down, or if we're going to go up to a new level, and maybe the correction that you're calling for eventually comes, but maybe it corrects to a level that's higher than the current prices, right? That's the thing. Like maybe it's going to correct to a level that's higher than the current prices. So even if you end up being right about there being a correction, you're wrong about what the price would have corrected to if you're unable to say when it will correct. Some people like to say, they like to just say it will correct, but there's also an important distinction. Timing is important, right? It's easy to say the stock market's going to correct and then just wait 5 years for it to correct, and then it'll correct. Same thing goes with altcoins. It's easy to say they're going to correct, and at some point they will. But timing, I think, is a lot more important on that, and actually saying when it's going to correct, and not just saying it will correct at some point. But again, let's just keep an eye on the dollar. Right now we're at 93,561. You can see it's trying to break out up here. At the same time, Bitcoin is sort of, Bitcoin's not even that far away from being green again for the week. It's so far it's still red for the week. If Bitcoin gets above 47K or so, it's another weekly green candle. How crazy would that be, right? How crazy would that be if we have a 5th green candle in a row on the weekly? Obviously, we still have a couple days to go, so a lot can happen between now and then, but we will certainly keep an eye on it. So keep an eye on the dollar, right? Keep an eye on Bitcoin, and Bitcoin will probably react somewhat to the dollar, and then we'll keep an eye on ADA and the altcoins. And if Bitcoin goes back down for a little bit, then we'll just settle back in, and then we'll make another run at the title later on. Do you guys have any questions? Make sure you guys subscribe if you're not subscribed. We do have the premium list, by the way. Check it out. We have a sale going on. We'll probably end that sale actually in about a week. Why don't we set up? We'll end the sale on the premium list in 1 week. So if you wanna lock in the lower rate, go ahead and sign up. Someone says talk about ADA. We just talk about ADA. No, I don't talk about leverage trading here. It's just too risky. Can you guys see? Is my screen? I guess my screen's okay. Yesterday it was a little blurry. Someone says, this is the most bullish I've ever sounded. I don't think so. I was more bullish when Ethereum was at $200. I even put out a video calling it the accumulation phase of a lifetime. Believe me, I would not call something the accumulation phase of a lifetime if I thought it was going to dump 80%. I was way more bullish on Ethereum at 200 than I am at 3,200. Now, I still think Ethereum will trend up with time and hopefully make it to 10K this cycle, and maybe even a little above or below. Plus or minus a few K, right? but no, I've definitely been more bullish than I am at the current times, because back in like the major shakeouts and whatnot, and we were trending up, I was way more bullish than I am today. I still think things can trend up with time, but like I don't think that ADA has another 100x in it before the cycle's over, right? I mean, it's already done 100x. It's already done more than 100x. So no, I don't think it has another 100x in it before the cycle's over. Unfortunately. Talk about the premium list and we offer that. Yeah, we have. If you actually go to intothecryptoverse.com, there's a video and you can watch what the premium list is about. I think people find the most value in three things on it. We have a Telegram alerts channel where I put up like fairly frequent updates on the market, not just crypto, by the way. We also talk about stocks occasionally, precious metals too. There's the risk dashboard, which is what the risk levels are. They tell me like at what levels I'm okay buying Bitcoin and whatnot up to. And then the other thing are I do 2 videos every week on the premium list. So those are the things that people find the most value in. But anyways, all right, we're sitting at 233. Bitcoin's still chilling at 46.5. What other questions do you guys have? All right, guys, we've been going for 42 minutes. I'm not really seeing many interesting or new questions right now. Everyone's just saying check out ADA. Dot versus ADA. Yeah, Dot is hopefully it gets a nice little move back up here soon. What is my profession? Well, this is it. I used to be a nuclear engineer. I actually just had a paper published last month on radiation damage in magnesia, MgO, using molecular dynamics simulations. So that's what I do when I'm not doing this. But right now, this is mainly what I do. What are my plans for the YouTube channel long term? I don't know, just keep putting out content, I guess. I don't really have any plans. No, I wouldn't schedule the Forbes interview, guys. I don't know why you're scheduling it anyways. Bitcoin's not even at a new all-time high yet. No, I'm not going to turn on ads. Do I think Ethereum has a shot at the flippening this cycle? Not to hold, maybe just for a day or so. It's certainly possible that it does it for a day or two. Do I think it can hold that status this cycle? I don't know about that. I would say probably not. Yeah, I think it does have a chance to do it. Not this year. I don't think it'll happen this year. It might have a chance to do it. obviously it would have to be after Bitcoin makes a major move, and then Bitcoin calms down, and then Ethereum goes up. So it'd be at that time. So it's certainly possible, but I don't think it'll happen this year. And if it does it, I can't imagine it would be sustained endlessly. So I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I could be pleasantly surprised if it does that, but I think it has a chance to flip it. But I don't know if it can hold it or not. And it won't flip it at Bitcoin's peak either. Like it would have to happen after Bitcoin's peak, I think. Sorry, I'm trying to read the questions. They're going really quickly though. Someone says they're addicted to shorting and they're bad at it. What do you do? I just wouldn't do it, right? I mean, just don't do it. Stop gambling. The opportunity cost is so high. What is my long-term plan with Link? Well, I mean, right now I'm just letting it ride because, I mean, what else am I going to do with it? It's kind of funny how, I mean, I agree Link hasn't been performing as well as I would have anticipated at this point. But it is kind of funny when you look at this chart and you just say, imagine how disgruntled people could get with that move right there. Despite the fact that it has been generally up. I mean, I get the reason. It's because some people don't buy it until it's up here. But yeah, it has underperformed recently compared to a lot of other cryptocurrencies. So I'm hoping it turns around. I really am hoping it turns around. If it doesn't turn around, then I mean, I'm not, I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. It certainly has a lot to prove. It needs to get back above the 20-week and whatnot as well. So we'll see if it can do that. And if it can, then maybe we can put in new all-time highs, especially because Bitcoin's above the 20-week. But we certainly have a lot to prove with Link at this point. Why don't I have proper furniture? Because the opportunity cost is too high. I know I had here's that risk metric, by the way, in case you guys, this is part of the premium list stuff. This is what happened at the peak. It went to the 0.9 to 1 wristband. So it went to that wristband we said it would go to. And then it came down significantly afterwards. But it did make it there. Hopefully we make it there again one day. This is the dream, right? Always going back up to the 0.9 wristband. We'll see if we make it there one day. All right, guys. Why don't we stop it there? Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll keep an eye, see if ADA puts in new all-time highs. If you're curious about Bitcoin, keep an eye on the dollar, see if the dollar's breaking out or if it's getting rejected. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Check out the sale on the premium list. We're going to close that up in about a week. Click the bell icon to turn on your notifications. And my friends, I will see you next time. Bye.